There's a video going around right now with millions of views. It's called something like 11 Signs You Have an Extremely High IQ. Maybe you've seen it. Maybe it's how you got here. It lists things like you prefer being alone. Your mind never switches off. You feel emotions more deeply than other people. You doubt yourself constantly. You never quite fit in. And as you watch it, something weird happens. You start counting. That's me. That's me too. Wait, that's also me. By the end, you've matched 8 out of 11, and a quiet little voice says, maybe I'm smarter than I thought. I pulled up the actual studies behind that video. Every claim in it points to a real paper, which sounds impressive until you open the papers. Because here's the thing, the experiences on that list are real. The trick is telling you they mean you have a high IQ. Let me show you how the trick works first, because it's 75 years old. In 1949, a psychologist named Bertram Forer gave his students a personality test. A week later, each student got a written profile, supposedly based on their own answers. Things like, you have a strong need for others to like you. You're independent-minded. You have unused potential you haven't turned to your advantage. He asked them to rate how accurate their profile was, from 0 to 5. The average was 4.3, almost perfect. Then he told them the truth. Every student got the exact same paragraph. He'd copied it out of a newspaper astrology column. That's called the Forer effect, and it runs on one simple rule. If you write a description vague enough and flattering enough, almost everyone will recognize themselves in it and feel like it was written just for them. You doubt yourself sometimes. Your mind is always busy. You feel like an outsider. Who doesn't? These aren't signs of high intelligence. They're signs of being a person. Specifically the kind of thoughtful, slightly anxious person who clicks on psychology videos, which is exactly who these videos are made for. So, that's the machine. Now let's feed the actual claims into it, because this is where it gets fun. I want to fact-check the 3 biggest ones. Claim 1, smart people procrastinate because they see the full complexity of a task before starting it. This one has actually been measured properly. In 2007, a researcher named Piers Steele gathered basically every study ever done on procrastination, hundreds of them, tens of thousands of people, and asked, what actually predicts it? Here's how correlations work in one sentence. 0 means no connection at all, and 1 means a perfect connection. Intelligence versus procrastination came out at 0.03, 0.03. That is statistically indistinguishable from nothing. You know what did predict procrastination? Impulsiveness at 0.41. That's more than 13 times stronger. Procrastination isn't a genius seeing too much. It's a normal brain grabbing the comfortable thing instead of the hard thing, which, honestly, is better news. I'm too smart to start is permanent. I haven't broken this into small enough pieces is fixable by Tuesday. Claim 2. Intelligent people prefer solitude. The video cites a real 2016 study by Lee and Kanazawa, 15,000 young adults, and the study exists. But open it, and the smarter people in the data socialize slightly more, not less. The famous part is a tiny statistical wrinkle about life satisfaction, so small you need a magnifying glass. Somewhere between the paper and the thumbnail, smart people hang out slightly more, became geniuses need to be alone. That's not summarizing, that's rewriting. Claim 3, smart people doubt themselves, and there's even a famous study proving it, the Dunning-Kruger effect. Except Dunning-Kruger says almost the opposite. The 1999 study found that low performers massively overestimate themselves because they lack the skill to see their own mistakes. Top performers guess their own scores pretty accurately. They only slightly underestimated their rank compared to others, and only because they assumed everyone else found the test easy too. That's a polite miscalculation about other people. It is not geniuses secretly feel like frauds. And here's a small detail that tells you how careless this whole genre is. The video credits brain research to a scientist named Rex Jung. His name is Rex Jung. The research is real. It's about brain networks and intelligence. But the fact-checking behind these videos is so thin that even the names don't survive. Now, the biggest claim of all, the emotional core of the whole thing, being highly intelligent means feeling isolated, anxious, like you don't belong. In 2023, researchers looked at the UK Biobank, a giant health database. They found 16,000 adults with extremely high measured intelligence and compared them to over 200,000 others. The high IQ group had lower anxiety, lower neuroticism, and less social isolation, not more. The lonely, tortured genius in the largest data set we have mostly isn't there. To be fair, a couple of things on these lists do hold up. Smarter people tend to be a bit more willing to change their minds when the evidence changes, and they tend to be more intellectually curious. Real findings. Notice how unflattering they are as content, though. You update your opinions doesn't make a great thumbnail. You're a misunderstood genius does. Which brings me to the part I actually care about. Because you might be thinking, okay, so the list is sloppy, but it's harmless. It makes people feel good. Where's the damage? Here's where. In 1921, a psychologist named Lewis Terman started the most ambitious IQ study ever run. He tested thousands of California kids and selected about 1,500 with genius-level scores, then tracked their entire lives. Most turned out fine. Ordinary careers, ordinary struggles. The predicted wave of world-changing brilliance never really arrived, and two boys Terman tested didn't make the cutoff. Their scores were too low. Their names were William Shockley and Luis Alvarez. Both of them went on to win the Nobel Prize in Physics. The most rigorous IQ screening in history looked directly at two future Nobel laureates and said, not gifted. So, a listicle you graded yourself on? It's not detecting anything, but the real cost is quieter than that. When you file your procrastination under, I'm too smart to start, you stop looking for what would actually get you started. When you file your loneliness under, people can't operate on my level, you stop asking whether you just stop texting back. The label feels like an answer, so you stop looking for one. Every one of these struggles is workable. The gifted sticker is what makes them feel like permanent features instead of problems. And I'll say the uncomfortable part out loud, because it's the honest part. If you watched one of those videos and felt seen, letting go of that stings a little. I might be secretly exceptional is a genuinely nice thing to believe, and I'm taking it away with a bunch of correlation numbers. That's a real loss, small but real. But look at what you get back. You never needed to qualify as a genius to take your procrastination seriously, or your isolation, or your self-doubt. Those were always just yours and always workable. The label wasn't the permission slip, it was the thing telling you to wait. If you want more fact checks like this, where I take a viral psychology claim and actually open the papers behind it, that's this whole channel. Subscribe if that's your thing, and tell me in the comments which of the 11 signs you were most sure about, because I have a theory it's the same one for almost everybody, and I want to see if I'm right. That's all for this one.